We are live. Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Jason Hardy. This is Barbecue Roundtable. I appreciate y'all stopping by tonight. We got a great guest right here that everybody knows out there. We're going to find out a lot of information, be some good questions about barbecue. But do us a favor, first and foremost, if you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, whatever, like and share this page. Share this out to everybody else. If you want to listen to old episodes, go on YouTube. We got all the old episodes on YouTube. We also go to YouTube Music, look at Barbecue Roundtable, and you'll see a podcast where you can listen to old episodes if you're driving down the road or you're jogging. I'm not sure barbecue and jogging makes sense, but some people might do that thing. But anyhow, check it out. Got any questions? But one thing about it, if you got any questions tonight, make sure you leave it in comments. But please share the page and tell your friends and family. But tonight, before we go any further, let's introduce our guest. Mr. Wes, introduce yourself.
I appreciate having me on the show, Jason. I've been a fan of it for a long time, so I'm glad you finally got me in here. I hope you spent that $100 wisely. That got me in here as well. But Wes Garret with Piglitically Incorrect Barbecue. We have fun listening to organizers try to pronounce that name. So for the first couple of years, we didn't have to worry about it because we weren't getting calls. So good Lord's blessed us, and we've been able to hear our name a few. But based out of Brandon, Mississippi, man, just enjoy competing. I get asked all the time, what got you into competition barbecue? And I tell them, I can't run a 40 fast anymore. I can't run a post pattern and beat anybody. I'm still competitive, and those those little bowling trophies, I mean, they still get me fired up. So I just enjoy it. It's a blast and get to hang out with everybody. So, I mean, what is there not to like?
It is really it's the friendship stuff we made. We'll get into the question later on about that. But I mean, the reason we keep doing this is the relationships. That's why we do this. And we've been able to kind of cook with people, some great people all over the place. And Wes has been successful in there. So your team name, politically incorrect, but people can't pronounce my team name right at board. So it's Elite. There's several others out there, but Elite's all one everybody gives me a hard time about. Got some fans on here already.
Oh yeah, they'll start coming in there pretty. Especially you get Mitchell Bedwell on here. We might have to shut this thing down early. I'm going to block Shannon Graham because he doesn't need to be on any social media whatsoever. But it's fun to watch it. We've jokingly said as soon as the organizer, and we're blessed enough to get a call, as soon as they take a pause and a deep breath, we'll just go ahead and ease on up out of the chair because we know we're coming. So they can't say it, but yeah, I got the name. I put it together. It was during the 2016 election. We were watching something on the news, and somebody made a joke about, you're just not very politically correct. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm politically incorrect. And then I jokingly just said, I'm actually piglitically. And then we all just looked at each other. And this was in the beginning of us. I was like, that's our team name. That's it. So we stuck with it, and it's been fun, man.
They say all of us. That is what, you and your wife, Hannah?
Yeah, me, my wife, my daughter. She's actually Alexis. She's getting into cooking a lot more. Especially she's been lucky to get some calls. She goes out to the Royal, and if Brian's listening, her best friends in barbecue are his two sons. Loves to hang out with them, and I jokingly tell everybody, this is the last year that I'm gonna let them hang out together, because they're like 13 or 12 in that age. And I'm like, all right, this is it. They're done. So have fun at the Royal this year because I'm separating you after this. But they enjoy it. He was lucky enough, and he's a dang good cook. But Cole won, state just world championship for kids. Alexis came in second. They both had 180s. He had a perfect. Jason, I cannot get her to stop talking about cooking steaks. She wants to take a steak class. She wants to go to steak cook-offs. She is so ate up with it right now, and it's fun to watch. So I am looking to get her in a steak class to get her going, and we're going to try to move this over towards her because that's what's so fun. Hannah does a lot of the ancillaries. She's been successful in that. She gets very, hungry with it, and we go somewhere. The first thing she has, any ancillaries, any desserts. Okay, we'll look and see. So we do it as a family, and it's a blast. To sit back and watch them guys get calls, honestly, it's better than anything I can get. But when we were at the Royal to watch her take second with a 180, I didn't have to turn in anything. I was completely done that entire weekend. It was heartwarming, to say the least.
You're talking about the ancillaries. Michelle does ancillaries with us, and we was at Boss Hog, and she had this ancillary she done at Boss Hog was a strawberry cheesecake. She had just focused on that cheesecake. She spent like 2 days getting everything together, getting all the stuff, and cooked it and done it. And they were calling out awards and got in top 5. And she looked at me and just like, well, nobody liked my dessert. And I'm sitting there just heartbroken. I mean, I just wanted to crawl underneath the chair and quit. And then she ended up winning. And that was amazing. But it's just the thing is, whenever we go in there, and I've heard guys teach class, and they've said this when they got teaching class, they like, they get as much enjoyment out of people that's using just things they've learned to do good in contests.
Absolutely.
I mean, whenever I was teaching Bible study, the same thing. You just get when you're teaching out there, and people kind of can grab onto it. In barbecue church, we do. It's just that people kind of come up to you and are appreciative of it. The conversation you had after the fact, you get more out of that than you do actually winning. Now, don't get me wrong. I still want to win contests. And I still want to win and do it. But at the same time, and the same thing with Hannah got 3 calls at the Sevierville contest. I mean, that's just got to make you happy.
Well, it does. I mean, it depends on how many years you've been doing it. When you first start off, if you hear your name, you don't care if they were calling 20th out of 20. To hear your name across that stage is just great. And as you do it more, you start getting in that top 10, you're excited. Then you win a couple here and there. Then it's like, man, you want to hear your name, but you want to wait till you get in top 5. Then you get in top 5, you get the top 3. You're like, okay, I'll take that 5. Go back. I'll take it. I'm going to start bartering here. And you want to win these things, and they're fun. So, we have competitions within competition. So, we do ancillaries. It starts out, we have her whole thing, and then we'll, more likely get into Alexis's. If there's a third one there, if they have kids queue, then we get into mine. And the funny thing is, Jason, on top of all this, I think everybody in competition barbecue are the most superstitious people in the world. And I would say I'm at the top of that. I'm embarrassed to tell you some of the things I do. We're not going to get into it. I might share one maybe, but we never do well when she does well. So, me and Hannah have got a very jovial relationship. We mess with each other. So sometimes if she don't get calls, I'm like, good job, honey. Thank you. And let me get some checks now. She's like, you son of a bitch.
That's what Michelle was saying. She's like, when she wanted dessert, we done on Friday night at Boss Hawk. She's like, now you always one up me. So now go out there. You always gonna one up me. So.
Yeah, and you're right. So, in the Sevierville contest, I was so glad you got them. There was part of me was like, take them lower calls. I like that. Leaves daddy some room at the top, But I really, you guys, and I still get it. People hit me up all the time. Oh, you sandbagging. Man, I really did not like that cook, but I'll explain that here later in the show. But I didn't like anything about it. But it does go to the old adage that if you don't like what you turn in, it's usually going to be a good day. Well, that was generally one of them that I didn't like. I was very disappointed. If I could have gotten out of that parking lot, I probably would have went ahead and head home.
Now, but one thing kind of clarified, and that's what we get into a little while later on, is for people out there not in competition barbecue, when we're saying we don't like some other, it's not that it's not good. Right. It's just that one little thing in there that we're picking up on there. We didn't necessarily like that one thing. It's not that it's bad barbecue. It's not that it's not going to win barbecue, as we talk about later on. But it's like we're picking up something on there that's just not sitting well with us. And that's kind of why we're just down and out about some other. But back up to the $100. So I went and bought sandwich today so I can keep up with Wes.
Yeah. Well, we're talking sandbagging over here, and this guy, we've just got to acknowledge him because Mr. Number One,
and ain't no sandbagging,
just came in, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel honored that he's watching this and we're on here. I mean, that guy. I mean, look, Jordan, your next stop is Costa Rica, man. Brad's already shown he can go international. So if you can't go international, I'm gonna be honest with you, you're gonna lose some points, buddy. I mean, you're going everywhere else, but. To jump back to the whole sandbagging thing, I think you're right. I guess you're going to have a common denominator off of a flavor that you tried during a contest that you did well at. And you more likely bookmark that flavor. Like, okay, we did well here, and this is what my stuff tasted like, at least with me. Everything that doesn't taste exactly like that, I feel like it's going to do bad. And we're our worst critics, but that's what I do. I bookmark the flavor that we did well. We maybe won one. And if it doesn't taste like that, I think we're just going to crap the bed. So whenever everything came off, I'm not going to tell you it was horrible. It just had a weird flavor to it, weird taste. But I've also got to explain, I've had COVID twice, and I'm not using that, I'm not using that as an excuse, but my taste buds have been shot. And the second time I got it, I'm going to tell you, I can't taste anything. I mean, things that are super sweet are just kind of mild to me. Things that are overly salty are not as salty to me. So if Hannah's not in there, man, I'm just rolling the dice, throwing stuff in a box, praying to God that it really hits, because I just can't taste food.
It makes a difference. I mean, definitely the COVID flavor profiles have changed. It changed a lot of stuff. But so you'll say your flavors wasn't crazy about it, but you're hitting your textures you wanted.
Yeah, I was happy about the tenderness. I really was. I'm really big that I'm look, we're all learning about something. I mean, everybody out there is absolutely every contester picking up something. I used to go with more. I wanted a box that looked good. And because that's something that we can hit, we can control that per se, to a point. We do get judges that'll throw out sevens like they're handing out, whatever. But I feel like I can control that. So I would put in a rib that looked a lot better, but may not have tasted as good. So I would say in the last 6 months or so, I've had enough people just say, listen, man, the hell with that presentation. If you got something that's superior, put it in there. Well, my rib box, I didn't like it because my ribs were fatty. And I've never turned in ribs that had a ton of fat on them, because I don't like it. Sometimes I think judges get turned off by that and look at it and they're like, man, I don't want to eat a bunch of fat. But I had a rack of ribs. Now, they all tasted the same, as I just alluded to. But that rack of ribs, I'm telling you, was the finest bite I have ever turned in from everyone that I tried off that rack. And I wasn't going to put them in. And I'd actually go ahead and put some other ones in that weren't quite as tender as those, but they looked 10 times better. And Hannah just kept hammering me. Those are perfect. Those are the best you've turned in. 30 seconds ago, I've got the box prep. I reach over there with the spatula, pull those out, put the other ones in there, and I said, we're going with the ugly ribs. And, of course, we won ribs. But they were fine. But finally, I just said, I'm going to stop trying to go with perfection on the looks and try to hit perfection on tenderness. And I knew this. It's just hard for me. I'm a slow learner, guys. It says I'm from Mississippi. You guys got to understand that. Very slow.
So one of the things I've been doing this year, and I've said this on the show a couple of times, is we basically running different recipes. Now it's not a completely 180-degree different recipe. We're changing things in every contest, because my goal is to see, to answer the question here that Joe's had, is it a tenderness game or a texture game? And so what I will say about this, and I've said this in the past, kind of on steak. Imagine eating a steak. You got best flavor steak in the world, but if you can't cut it with a fork or cut it with a chainsaw, it doesn't matter how good it is, it ain't gonna taste right. But if you got a steak that's really nice and tender, you take a fork and cut it, you put it in your mouth, and it's a good chew to it, then it's gonna overcome a lot of flavor in there. So tenderness is gonna overcome flavor, but flavor can't overcome tenderness. So they're not the same thing. Now, the flavorness in KCBS scores higher, but I think what we always got to remember is, unless it bites good, it ain't gonna score taste wise. And I think taste is gonna be kind of once you've hit tenderness, now you hit to another level. Now you've kind of brought that to another game. You'll be able to do that. But I would focus first on tenderness. And one of the things that Wes was saying here about his flavor profile, what we always also got to understand is the judges are eating this chicken maybe 5 to 10 minutes later, ribs probably getting about 10, 15 minutes later, and push it on down the line. So what tastes good when we pull it off the smoker when it's hot, it may be a different flavor profile in 10 minutes, it cools down a little bit. Same thing with texture. It'll change texture too.
And look, I'm going to continue on that. We talked about this during the weekend, and I know a lot of the audience have heard this multiple times, but we're just going to bring it up again. I'm a certified judge, and I think a lot of good cooks out there, or a lot of just cooks out there altogether, I think they've signed up to be judges. You may have judged once. We've been lucky enough to judge several contests, and we try to do 1 or 2 a year where we judges. I personally have never had a hot piece of meat hit my mouth in a judging, when I'm in a situation. Because you got to think about this. People are not judges. You're going to take that box. You got 6 boxes. They're going to open that box up and they're going to show it to all the judges. And then that box goes back onto the table and they're going to do that to all 6 boxes. Then they're going to open that box up again and they're going to take a piece of meat out and they're going to put it on their square. And they do that 6 times. No one starts eating till everyone gets that and they write in their scores down. Even when it gets there, it's cooling off. But by the time they open it and show the boxes, by the time they pick one out and it goes around, you got to wait. That is room temperature barbecue. So you've heard it 1,000 times. You're going to hear it 1,001 times. Cook your barbecue to where it is really good room temperature. Most barbecue is not bad or it's really good hot, but they're not going to eat it hot. They're just not. And if anybody says, yeah, I've had hot brisket, no, you haven't. You just haven't. I mean, you may think you have, but you've had room temperature, maybe a little bit more than room temperature, but it's been sitting for a while. Make your tenderness and your flavors pop at that temperature. That's how you need to practice.
And that's even more important when you get to contest with 4 to 6 tables. Because now they got to do the table shuffle, so not enter on tables twice or whatever.
Great
and so it's even slower down. It even slows it down more. If you go to a bigger contest and you got 60 teams or whatever, it's not going to be slow down quite so much because they can't do that. But it's still not going to be hot food. So it's going to still be lukewarm, like Jordan's saying right here. But especially small contests, you got to make sure that your texture, your appearance looks good, cold, cooler, lukewarm. You got to understand your texture is going to taste good at lukewarm, and your flavor is going to be there. And so, as teams, and we're cooking barbecue, and we get upset because we didn't score it and it tasted just right. Well, did you taste after you turned in? Like, did you taste chicken after you turned ribs in?
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's the thing about it. Is the only thing you can taste in. Okay, do I need to put something here? Is it something? Is it missing some sweetness? Is it missing some heat? I can add something other to kind of bring it to another level. But that's where the chore of that is the practice.
Well, some salsas, some rubs they bring different heat, or they will kind of mild the heat out as it's hot. As it cools, maybe you hit it and the first thing you taste is, wow, there's some heat on the back of that. But if that was a hot or warm sauce, or if the meat was warmed up, it may bypass a little bit. So again, think of that. Think of your rub combinations as it's lukewarm or as it's room temperature. Try those. Try all your stuff. We always set our stuff to the side. We put them in pans. When we get done, I always put everything separate in the pan, and I go back after the last turn in and we try everything. Every contest, always try it. And that just lets me to say, okay, this cooled off. Now it's going to be a little cooler than it would be because I'm waiting to after brisket turn in, but that usually gives me, okay, this still is good. This didn't have a right tenderness right when it was hot, but it actually is pretty good now. So maybe it cooled off to their liking. That's how we usually tell. And again, with my flavors, guys, I can't tell. I'm a blind man, in a color book contest over here. If it's not for Hannah, I'm just going on tenderness. She tells me the taste. She told me to shut up a lot in Sevierville. Like, be quiet, it's good. You're crazy. Hush. Okay. Just check your tenderness. I got the flavor.
One thing I will say, though, kind of a tip that we learned through Donnie Break class several years ago, and I really, in Sevierville, really just kind of, it clicked into it because I was tasting food cold in there, is get one of those fat separators. If you are like me that mixes your au jus like with your pork or with your ribs or whatever and your brisket, get you one of them fat separators. And I've always done this, but for whatever reason, it just didn't click till I was at Sevierville. And I'm sitting going like, what tastes is the absolute worst thing cold? It congealed fat. And so when you start taking an au jus and you separate it, make sure you keep that oil and stuff out of it. If you're getting something other kind of unknown flavor or a greasy taste, something comic cards, that could be what it's coming from. So get you one of them separators. It'll save you a lot of headache.
Oh man, we got 2 of them. We just roll through them. We're popping one. She's cleaning the other one. You're exactly right. Those things will save your life in a contest. I like BJ's comment here. That's good. Which contest for this, BJ? I'm trying to think over here. He'll come back on here. But yeah, it's fun for sure. And look, we're still learning. It may be 5 years from now. It may be 10 years. Hell, we may go bankrupt trying to do this thing and be 2 years from now. Who knows? We're just having fun, but we'll be learning to the last contest. I guarantee you that. I got you. Yeah, we did judge that one.
But at the same time is just like right now with COVID going up, when it went away, COVID has come in and went away, and there's stuff here. The flavors probably changes with the judges. I mean, you get some judging and not this. I wouldn't say areas change so much as a whole. It just kind of just trends change. What's Cause I mean, 6, 7 years ago, everybody out there had backwood smokers.
God, I know.
And then it went from backwood smokers, went to some stick burners, or some drums, depending on where you're at. Right now, stick burners are kind of on a lot more stick burners out there than they used to be. Uh, but they also seeing some pellet smokers out there. Um,
Let me ask you a question on this, Jason, because honestly, we talk about this quite often. Is it trends are changing, or is it a follow the leader? Because look, I will tell you, I'm a follow the leader person. However, I like cooking on the backwoods. I'm a one man, team when it comes to cooking. The wife does help. Don't get me wrong. I hope she's not listening. She's in another room. She will come here and throw a shoe at me. But I'm the one getting up. I think she gets up at 10:45 a.m. every morning. But damn, you're cooking her lunch instead of breakfast, and and I'm trying to make her mad now.
you're
And
doing a good job of it.
I do that because I don't have to stick. People mess with me. Oh, it's an easy bake up. Man, I'll take all the help I can get. But I still think some of these great cooks out there. I mean, you throw some of these top cooks out. A Brad, a Tim. You're throwing. I can name 5, 6 more. Jordan. Honestly, if they get good on something, I don't think it matters what it is. If it's a drum, if it's an old hickory, if it's a stick burner, it's a backwoods. Because you saw Sean right next to me with a backwoods. He hadn't cooked in, what was it? Is it over a year?
Yep.
Or maybe a
Well,
little.
he's done Wise last year, so he done a
Okay.
few contests. He judged several contests, but he hadn't cooked a ton like he used to cook.
He was
Um,
cleaning up, man. And honestly, he was a threat there all the way through it. So I think you can do well on anything if you just stick with it. I just think it's a follow the leader, and we get tired, just like a car. You get tired of driving your car 5, 6 years, you want another car. That's all it is. I don't think that you've got to change these to win. The can cookers are going to come on here and beat me to death. I get it. They're great. I cook on that on some of my proteins, but I don't think you just have to have that. I think if you just hone in on what you're good at, you can do well. If you're cooking good championship barbecue. I mean, if you suck in the beginning, you're not going to get better unless you practice. But just because you change pits is not going to make you a top-notch cook, and you're already cooking bad anyway.
so to answer that question, then we'll come here and talk with TS competition question here, TS barbecue. So I think if you look at the trending change, I think got two parts to it. You do have follow the leader, because what you have is you start having people that's cooking a certain way, and judges in the areas are seeing that flavor and they're scoring it well. And all of us are trying to chase that one guy, so we might be tweaking our recipes to kind of get in line with that person or team's cooking or a group of teams are cooking. I think there is some of that going on. I think you also got a situation though, like you had out here on the East Coast a couple of years when you had Lee Hickle and some LC and come out here, and they're introducing the same thing with Sean, a little bit different flavor profile. Now it's either hero or zero. Now you got a different flavor profile. Right. It's either hero or zero. They come in there, they light the world up because it's something different. Because sometimes you just want a red M&M, the old saying is just want a red M&M. I think there is some of that going on also. But I think one of the biggest things that happened, and I think COVID really just showcased this more than anybody else, is prior to COVID, we had the judges been judging every contest. We usually have the same judges for the most part, about 80% of the time come to the contest. And so we were cooking contests based on them judges. When COVID came, and a lot of those judges was staying home because of health concerns, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just reality of the situation. We had new judges coming in. When new judges came in, and they were expecting a whole different texture, a whole different flavor profile. And so all of us were chasing during COVID, that first half of COVID situation, especially Ruby's Teak series, was chasing that texture. What do they want? What are they looking for? And then we started doing that. And then at the end of last year out there, what happened is the COVID is kind of going to the back front, kind of getting behind us a little bit. But then fuel prices went up. So what happened is the old judges started coming back out and judges. The new judges couldn't afford to come out because they're normally younger people. And so it started shifting again. And now we started chasing that flavor profile at the end of last year. and start changing a little bit of that. And then this year so far, it seemed like it's kind of balancing itself out. So I think it's not a simple answer to say this is the way it happens. I think that there's a lot of complex situations to answer that question. But I think it goes back down to one of the things I think was Darren Worth said is this is a tenderness game. If you can hit the tenderness game, then you can overcome a lot of other things. It's tenderness game. Now to go to TS barbecue competition team's question. Right now, that's the situation that I personally am right now. I mean, we've had some couple contests right now. We're getting 3 and 4 calls, and they've been in the bottom part of the top 10. And I'm talking to Michelle, said, do I need to start tweaking stuff, or I just need to hang in there for the longevity? And we're changing flavor profiles every contest, so it's not that. So I think for what we're going to do, we're just going to kind of just play the game. If we think it needs maybe a little more salt, a little more sweetness there at the end, we might add something to it to see if we can bump it up. But we're having a very solid cooks, so I don't want to necessarily start swinging for the fences and strike out.
So I'll speak on TNS's comment as well. So I'm really glad some of these questions, because these are things we talk about. I talk about some of my buddies. It seems like we talk barbecue all week, then we go to a barbecue competition. Then we talk about then we start the next contest. But this is something we always talk about. If you're in that striking distance, I call the top 10 striking distance. If you're there and you're consistent, I wouldn't make changes because you're there. I mean, it's a lot of times you're 4 or 5 points away. You can tweak something as of salt. I wouldn't start making changes to, you start looking at your barbecue data and you're saying, hey man, I'm a consistent 173 here. I'm 171 in chicken. Maybe I need to tweak a little bit to get that up. Small, changes. As somebody was talking on the show here a few weeks ago, are you a cook or you're a technician? Can you make those changes, those fixes, and know what it needs to? Well, you guys know on the beginning of this show, my taste buds are shot. So if Hannah tells me it needs a little pop, I need this, I'll add to that. But I'm not making wholesale changes where I'm introducing 2 new rubs. I'm taking 2 rubs out. If I'm consistently in the top 10, top 5, I'm staying there because you're going to pop one. We'll bring up Kerry Chastain. I mean, we all know and love him. He is one of the most consistent cooks out there this year. He's going to pop one because he's there. He's 3rd, 4th, or 5th, or 6th every weekend, it seems like. He would be an idiot to change anything. He's going to pop something. He's getting 180s, 178s in every category here or there. Some of them together. He's getting 700s. Man, you gotta have a lot of luck on your side as well. I mean, you're going up against some top cooks. And I mean, these guys are practicing just like you are. All this stuff is subjective anyway. So no, TNS, I wouldn't make big changes. I would just do a little adding on to, maybe a pop, maybe take a little pop out. You got too much, but no wholesale changes, especially if you're top 5 consistently. You're right there at it.
One thing I've said on the show several times, and is to go by rule of 3. If you get a comment card and you get 3 comment cards that say it's too salty or tough or chewy, whatever, that's when you really start looking at, okay, this is 3 different contests, 3 different areas, 3 different groups of judges, and I'm getting a little too chewy on my chicken per se. That's when you might want to look at, you need to go up a degree or 2. But one thing I would probably suggest to you is just to change. It's not going to change anything in the sense stuff. It maybe change your turn-in times. If you're doing this right here, just instead of turning in at the front half of the window or whatever, you might want to just say, well, let me just turn in the middle of the window or back it up a couple of minutes and just see if maybe that changes. I know it sounds crazy.
No, it doesn't.
But again, that's something that's not going to really affect your cook much, but it may just kind of affect who you turn in with. Because what happens is we're creatures of habits. Okay. So we're all going to turn in chicken. A group of you going to turn in at the beginning window, the middle window. So it always happens. So when you turn in, more than likely, when you turn something in and you cook with the same people every weekend, you're going to see the same people doing turn in. So something though that you can control that won't affect your cook is just changing your turn in times.
Yeah, I mean, you could hit something. It could be as simple as you're always going behind a certain cook or a certain flavor profile that does something to that judge's taste buds. If you get ahead of it or if you get far enough behind it, that could change it. I don't like going too late anyway, unless we're really just behind and we can't get the stuff that we want in a box. Keith is always pushing it. I actually like to turn in stuff early anyway, just to get ahead of it, so you can be one of the first on there. They put in their mouth and they judge. They're not tired of it, because when they get into pork, and they get into brisket, these guys are about full. I judge, and I'm already like, all right, we need to get this thing going. I'm tired. If you're sixth in pork or you're sixth in brisket, I can't say I'm not fatigued a little bit. Now, let me just go ahead and calm the masses here to your question. I haven't judged in a minute since my taste buds are going out, so I'm not out ruining your weekends anymore. So until I get my taste buds back, I'm going to save you guys some money. So I don't want you coming at me. Well, I can't believe you're out here with those taste buds ruining our weekends.
Man, everybody got 9s on taste. I just give everybody 9s.
If I can't signify what I like, I'm going to give you a 9. How about that?
Yeah. Going back to one of the questions you said about superstitions. So after the contest in Sevierville, Wes seen me, and he looked at me like, "Son, what did somebody beat you to death?" And if you ever see me contest,
he was wrestling in a mud pit or something. This guy looked like a homeless. I had reached in my pocket to get change out, and I was like, "Oh, that's Jason." I've never seen anything like it in my life.
So if you know me contest, you've seen me. I wear the same during cook days. I wear the same shorts and the same shirt, and that shirt needs to be retired. But until my wife retires it, it's going to continue to be worn in contests. And it looks like I got in the bottom of the smoker and started pulling stuff off the bottom of it to cook. It's a rough looking shirt.
Let's be honest. If there was 2 hobos got in a fight and they blooded themselves up and you had to wipe the feces and the blood and stuff off of them, that's what his shirt looks like, what you wiped up off of him. It's pretty bad, Jason, but I appreciate you and your because you told me like this is my thing, and I was like, man, I can appreciate that. I got mine. I'm embarrassed a lot of mine, but
now compared to Wes, has got his own cloud, spotless shoes, his spotless pants, his spotless shirt, spotless hat. He's look like he just took a shower every time he gets through. I think if he gets barbecue sauce on hand, he got to take a complete shower. So I'm sitting going
True statements.
I'm sitting going like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be a movie star today.
No, I wanted to wipe the disgust off of me is all it was. I was so mad. And, I went in there and was just like, I just got to get this bad luck off of me. I'm in the shower talking to myself. You're just such a crappy cook. Why do you do this? So I was in there. I refreshed, and we were good to go. And then I came out there and saw you, and I was going to offer you a shower. Hose you down, but you said that was your thing, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean,
it's working, Jason, because you really have been cooking well.
Oh, it just honestly, I mean, that's one of the questions we asked on here is like, I think and I forgot the question. I asked something about relaxing. I think truly speaking, I think one of the things to truly be successful in this competition stuff is you honestly got to just relax. You got to just take a step back and enjoy the game and enjoy the process and relax. Because if you're sitting there stressing out and you're doing a turning box, you're just stressing out, every little thing being perfect, it's going to drive yourself nuts. You have to just relax.
Well, once we turn this stuff in, there's nothing we can do about it. But, I know I'm complimentary, but I'm going to tell you, and I've told this to many people, and some of the people that I told to may even chime in. But you said something I got to meet Levi Stokes in person with Colorado Bulldog Barbecue. And I've known him. We know all the teams on Facebook, but we don't all get to cook around them. He came in and got to know the guy, really liked him. We shot the crap and had a great thing. You were talking with us around there, and you was listening to me bellyache about my cook. And you know what I'm about to go with. You said, you know what? I always ask myself this at the end of the cook, whether I'm happy or not. Is if this was a double, would you turn it in the next day?
Yep.
And it's such a simple question to ask, but man, it encompasses everything. And I thought about it. Even Levi was like, damn, that's a great question to ask. But if it's a double, would you turn it in the next day? And at that time, I wouldn't, because I was that pissed. Nope, I wouldn't turn it in next month, next week. But that question, man, I gotta put. That's kind of how I look at it now. When I turn it in, I'm like, hey, if tomorrow was another comp, would I turn in the same thing and be happy? And if I can say yes, no matter what happens at awards, I can just I'm okay. You're not going to win them all. The best people out there have bad weeks. They cook their butts off, and I have seen some of these top teams without naming them. And you look at them, you go, "What did they not turn in something?" No, they turned in everything. They just had a bad cook. It just happens.
Yeah, I mean, it could be almost a situation is like it's not always in your control. I mean, you could follow somebody on the table, your food be tasted after somebody else, and it can just not be a good flavor profile that agrees with your flavor profile. Yes, judges do a good job cleaning their palate. I'm not picking on the judges on the comment.
Right.
I'm just saying that. But if some team over here has done a mistake like I have and turned in some very hot food, then nobody on the table is going to score well because it's our fault. We've basically killed the judges' flavor profiles.
Burn them
So
out.
so it's not always your fault. So let's go back to what TNF's saying here. I'd go by rule of three. If you get in the same comment card, and we were doing this a couple of years ago with a certain injection. I'm not going to mention the injection right now, but there's several of us running it. We kept getting comment cards, unknown flavor, unknown something other, unknown flavor, just different things. And we finally just realized it was this one injection. For whatever reason, it just wasn't working no more. And so we kind of started tweaking away back from that. So, I mean, some things it's yours.
No,
Jordan,
I agree.
back to your point right here. I think I'm going to see you in Arkansas unless I do horrible at Honeybee. So, I have to get him come here and see us on that shirt. Michelle might pay him for it.
You know, I'm going to see Jordan this weekend, and I'm actually bringing Hayes a big toy, something. So if he messed up your juju, I'm going to be his godfather because, man, he is on an absolute tear, and it's time for it to end. I like seeing good people win, and Jordan's good people. But damn, son, I mean, leave some for the rest of us. I had to go to East Tennessee to get away to cook. You know, and these guys are not saying I ran around. I mean, I had some tough competition, but Jordan is on fire, man. So I hope he tore it slap off your neck. Oh God, here comes Mitchell. Yeah, Judge. Well, you do got. I mean, you know that's funny when we say that, but you know that does affect your taste buds as well. You got people in there smoking, dipping. I mean, that does mess with it. But I think you're good judges. You're not going to run into that. I think these guys take it serious. You know when you go into a good area with good judges that take it serious. You know the ones that don't, and that's unfortunate. You kind of know those.
And I'm going to say this. I think KCBS and the reps they got right now are doing a very good job as far as going. And I know you're getting some heat for the judging chip draw and stuff. But I think besides that point, I think KCBS, the reps and everything are doing a very good job as far as getting quality judges in there and to judge the food fairly and to be fair with this and be consistent. I think they're doing a really good job with that. Hats off to them. That's a long process, and they're doing a good job of it. The chip draw computer system, that's a conversation that's out of my league. I'm not getting in that conversation, but I do think that they're doing a very good job of it. I mean, because what you'll see is the teams are doing good. They're not doing good 1 week and then they don't do good 3 weeks and then do good again. It's consistently up there. I mean, you got teams that are being consistent all the way up ladder. So you got to give it credit where credit's due. I mean, Kenny's hot.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Seriously, Jordan and hot. Kenny. I mean, they're getting after it. So you know, Bill Hine with Triple H told me last year he actually likes going, and he can vouch. I'm not making this up. He doesn't mind going on the quote unquote table of death. He feels he cooks good enough barbecue that he can survive that. And he's shown me wins that he's had where he did survive that. And it was an anomaly where he's like scored way up there. And then the next 5 were way down. He doesn't mind it because he feels his barbecue is good enough to survive it. And you're exactly right. You've got these cooks that are hot right now. They're not scared of a table of death per se. They're just going to let the cards go because they know they're going to be in it. And that's just that's cooking with confidence right there. And that comes from cooking week in and week out, hitting your flavor profiles and their technicians, They know when to make the changes. They know when something needs a touch or pull back or, something to cover up a flavor. They're winning it in the last 5 minutes of that cook before it goes in the box. They're not winning it during the cook. Those guys are so good. They're winning it the last 5 minutes. And people don't realize that you can cook and prep. I mean, we're going to start prepping tonight. We're going to do all this, but that contest is one that I always say the last 15 minutes. It's really the last 5.
Well, I'm going to kind of put a caveat on that. Is the last 5 minutes where you can really get your flavor profile. But going back to your texture situation, your texture is going to be in the last 20 minutes of the cook itself. So when you start getting that meat to be in, you start finding when it's probing tender, when it's going to get like you want it to be, that's your last 15 minutes of the cook. That last 5 minutes is, like I said, it's the flavor adjustments. That's when you start adjusting things that's going to hit it. But those two working together, that'll bring you to the top of the game. That's the truth of the matter.
Yep.
So, I mean, you can do it. You can overcome some stuff there at the end of it. But you really do it, look at two parts. You got to have your texture right, and that's the last 20 minutes of the cook. And for one thing about this, understand this, when you put in that Cambro, it has not stopped cooking. You have to be careful with it in the Cambro or hot food because it will continue to cook in there. And I think that's where a lot of the seasoned professionals, give or take the word, that's where a lot of them can not continue cooking, doesn't make some mistakes. Where you got some new guys that don't understand that you put all that hot meat in there, especially if you're doing full Boston butts. When you start putting 4 to 5 Boston butts in there, the brisket in there, the ribs in there, and the chicken there, that damn Cambro is 220 degrees.
Absolutely.
What you put in there, it's going to be overshot all Hades and back. So I think Cambro management is probably one of the most important pieces after come off the smoker.
Did you see the barbecue league where Joe Pierce was doing he's got it stationed or pieced out. He knows when he's going to burp his Cambro, for how long he's going to burp his Cambro. I mean, that guy's a machine when it comes to Cambro management, but you're exactly right. If you think you're just going to pull it off, open it up for 5 minutes, and then like, oh, it is steamed out, it's going to start going downhill. When you put that thing halfway full, these things are so efficient. It is hot. You'll notice that it's leaking because it's got all the condensation. That stuff is going to start raising the temperature. So we're very cognizant of that as well. We let our stuff rest. I will say there are some of the proteins we turn in that we strategically let sit in there because we might want to go a little over, but we're going to be having it rest for so long that we've gotten used to, I guess you can say, Cambro finishing it a little bit, but not all of our stuff. Really just one protein we do. Yes, it will continue to hold over and cook.
I mean, that's definitely when you start learning that that's just another step in the process. That's when you can start kind of understand, okay, I'm done here. I put it in here. You don't forget about it. You still got to focus on it.
Yep.
And you kind of go through there. So we can do that. And when you start learning that process and start going to trust it, you say, okay, and that comes into repetition. And I've said this before, I'm not the biggest fan of doubles, but I will say this about doubles. If you are trying to work on your techniques, do doubles. Because what you done the first on Saturday, you got it fresh in your mind. You can repeat on Sunday, and you can tweak yourself. And it's not necessarily so much the flavor profiles, but as far as technique. And that's one of the things, just like Jordan will probably tell you right now, one of the things that's probably helped him be so successful right now, and Kenny in the same situation than you, it is that you do so many contests that you got your technique down pat. You understand that when that clock says this here, this should be working on this should be coming off now. I should be doing this. And I know you can say, well, we don't have time to do many contests. There's that. If you're cooking on cans, if you cook on stick burner, it's not going to be the situation because air management and stuff's a big concern. But if you're cooking on cans, there's nothing stopping you cooking chicken every afternoon in the backyard.
Absolutely.
Now, stick burner is a little bit different animal because it's really hard to do the practice and get it truly efficiently. You can get it close, but unless you're doing that entire cook in there, it is not quite so easy. But on a stick burner, on cans, man, you can practice one meat all day long. And that's what I love about cans. I love that about cans.
I do. I used to cook everything on the old hickory. I love how everything turns out on that. However, the way my timeline was, I got tired of putting brisket on at midnight, having to stay up and doing that because I had to make sure that everything was, wrapped and I'm not double smoking stuff. So I move 2 meats to the drum and then I do my pork on there. But the difference is on mine, we're kind of just talking cookers again. I have to hit stuff. I can't push a lot of things on Old Hickory. You know, I'm not ramping that thing up to 325, 350. I will knock damn rivets out of it if I got it that high. I mean, it's a 250, 270 really where it likes to run. And, you know, I've got to make sure I hit my stuff. And I got to make sure I know when I'm going to be checking it, because when I open that door and I check something, I'm dropping 7 degrees and it's going to take me an hour to get that back. On a can, you know, you could push. I do love cans. I mean, I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing. I open it up and I close it. I'm right back where I want. I drop, you know, half a degree and it's already pushing back to the top. So I have to be very strategic on the Old Hickory, and I've got a lot of leeway on the can. So I got kind of the best of both worlds.
Yep. And if you need to, you can pull off the Old Hickory and put it in that can if you have to push something.
Yeah, and I've pulled stuff off the can. You know, I've had a brisket that was almost there. I like to rest stuff. I'm not giving away secrets. This is just, you know, it's a strategy. This is how people do things. I don't know of cooks on here, and I love to hear from the audience what's your technique. Like, I like to cook early. I like to overcook. I like to vent, and I like to rest and allow it to tighten back up to, you know, to what I call perfect. You got some cooks that they like to take it right to where it is considered perfectly tenderness, and they've got 30 to 20 minutes to turn in, and they're letting it vent for just a minute, and they're cutting and putting it in the box. There's no wrong way. I know someone here right now where they're cooking, you know, they're cooking up to boxing time. That's not my forte. I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but again, I like to cook, I like to vent, I like to hold and let it rest on everything. Even if it's on the drum, I still like to do it. Hell, I like resting chicken. And I'm one of the few that do that.
Well, and I think that goes back to one of the points I made earlier is about relaxing. If you feel like you can cook this stuff and you're comfortable enough that you can not go crazy when you're sitting there knowing you got 10 minutes turning and stuff still on the smoker, if you don't just get like myself, me and my wife, if we get to that point now, we're going to start getting nervous. We're going to start making mistakes. Yes. If I can have my food where I can cook it and I say, okay, I got this window from 10:35 to 10:42, my chickens will come off that smoker. I'm going to let it rest a while. Then I'm going to trim it, put it back in sauce, put it back in there and set the sauce. I got that window. Now, if I start going past that window, I'm going to get nervous. The chance of me making a mistake on chicken is higher because it's outside my little realm of techniques. I'm not saying it's the right way to do it. I'm just saying that's just the reality of the situation.
Absolutely.
So the point is, find out what works for you. But you got to be comfortable. You have to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, then you're chasing a rabbit. You ain't never going to catch it.
Well, I mean, again, I said, you know, it's just me cooking. So if we're getting to crunch time and I still have proteins on the smoker, I am spent. Like, I am flustered. I'm worried because I'm in there trying to get sauces heated up. I'm trying to get my stuff going. And then I'm freaking out. Do I have enough time to let it rest? I will actually rather hold a lot longer than me having to push it. If you see me pushing something, yeah, just leave me alone. I'm having a bad day. So I will cook stuff early just to let it sit. And I know Kerry's on here, and I think he knows how great Heath Riles is. Heath Riles told me personally at a contest a few years ago, he said, you know, everybody thinks that chicken's got to come right off. He goes, there's nothing wrong with it, and I prefer that. He goes, but some of the highest scoring, best chicken I've ever had has sat over in the corner covered for an hour. He goes, and then, you know, heated back up and glazed. He goes, and it's fine. So he told me that when he saw me just throwing stuff at a contest because I hadn't really gotten my sea legs under me. And he was like, calm down, don't worry. And I'd had chicken done too early. He was like, man, just put it in the corner. Heat it back up. It'll be fine. Let's let it go. So he calmed me there. And when the man says that, and you listen to him.
Yep. It's like Brian's saying here, resting is very important. Another reason to allow your protein to be done rather than trying to work with subpar protein. Makes a lot of sense. So right. Backing up a minute, kind of, we got really into the nuts and bolts of this here number, but tell us about how you got started in barbecue. Did you grow up cooking? Was your family hunting or whatever?
Yeah, I've always liked cooking. You know, being from the South, all of us, and we all say the South. I mean, you know, we pride ourselves in our cooking and our culinary skills. And I grew up going to deer camp, still go to deer camp, you know, cooking with the family. And, you know, I want to say probably 80% of the people on here, I did the same thing. You started walking, so barbecue pit masters came to me when I was about in my 30s, early 30s, which will tell you how old I am now. And, we used to sit back, and I remember watching it, and I loved it, man. Then Smoked and all these shows came on, and I sit back and I was like, I can do this. I mean, why can't we do this? And I remember I'm very, very competitive. So, I don't do anything, just kind of half-assed. So we jumped in, and, I ordered my first backwoods competitor. That was when those were really big. And then I decided that wasn't enough. So I ordered a backwoods Fat Boy, and then we loaded up on a trailer. Here you go. You get, these things, if you know anything about them, they're very top heavy, very tall cabinet smokers. I didn't have a trailer outside of a four-wheeler trailer. So I've got these things positioned on a four-wheeler trailer. I mean, I'm talking about, I had 37 tie downs on them to keep them from not falling. I go to my very first Bass Pro non-sanctioned event. I think we finished third there. No calls in a category top. They only call top three. We finished third. And I jokingly tell everybody that was a $200,000 call. Right. So from that, and then really where it got bad is that same year we left there and we did our very first KCBS. We only did one in 2016. And we went to George County down in Lucedale, Mississippi. And it was the George County Firemen or something. We didn't know there was 40-something teams. We didn't know any of the teams. We show up now. I go back and look at it all the time, Jason, and to realize the hornet's nest that we went into. I mean, you had people like Chick Swine and Bovine when they were cooking, Booty Q, Cajun Blaze. I can name 25 other teams. And we didn't know them. I'm just kind of giving a background of how we rented a U-Haul, one of the large ones. I pulled our camper down. We looked like Sanford and Son was moving. I mean, man, my wife was driving the U-Haul and it was loaded with everything. I looked like a barbecue store. I had 7 huge totes. We brought, like I said, our RV, set it up. It was ridiculous. This is how embarrassing it was. We were so embarrassed with all the stuff we brought. We waited till everybody left on Sunday to load up because we were like, man, this is embarrassing. We got too much stuff out here. But my point about this whole thing is we went down there, we took a third in pork, and we finished 7th overall. I was pissed because I was like, man, we suck. We were 7th. And I had a buddy of mine and said, you have no idea what you just did. I said, we sucked it up is what we did. He was like, dude, you were 7th out of like 40 teams of the best teams in the country. So when I started looking at it, that was really where we got hooked. And then I thought it was going to be super easy. So I'm in there talking to her, we're going to do this and we should win so many a year. And the next 4 absolutely humbled us and put us in our place. And I was like, man, we might need to go talk to somebody. I think we got a little beginner's luck. So to answer your question though, man, we're just competitive and it's fun. And this is some of the best people in the world to sit back with. I haven't met, bad people, maybe 1 or 2, and they're not bad. They just maybe get on your nerves and you don't mean it. But I mean, overall, 99% of the people you run across, man, they're just great people. They'll do anything for you. You enjoy being around them. You're happy when Thursdays and Friday come because you're going to see your barbecue family. They're great. Some of them, I love them, but I hate seeing them pull up. That don't mean anything. You're like, damn it. I'd like to get a little money this weekend.
Well, I've said this before. I've never met nobody in barbecue I don't like. I met people I don't necessarily want to hang around with too much, but I don't dislike them. We just oil and water sometimes. But I mean, met some amazing people. That kind of goes back to my next question I always like to ask is, what surprised you most about this? I mean, you said kind of go out there expecting to win, got yourself humbled a little bit, but that's a competition side. But what has really surprised you most about barbecue as a whole?
I'm going to turn this answer into being more internally to me. I'm very proud that look, and when I say this, I don't want anybody, some people can read these answers like, man, he thinks he's, look, I know my place in barbecue. I'm not a top 10 team year in a year. We don't cook enough to be a top 10 team. all I've ever wanted to do, and what has surprised me, to answer your question directly, is I've always just wanted to be a team that people respect, that can say they could win it.
Yep.
And if and I knew that was going to take some years, because again, my first 2.5 years, man, I didn't have a class. I was just doing stuff that I learned off the internet, and then finally you go take a class, you start doing well. So what surprised me was, I guess you can say, the success that we had at our level. And I want to emphasize our level. We're not cooking 30 times a year. We're cooking 12. I always tell my wife, we get to 10, and then it's when to stay in. We're not going to go bankrupt doing this. So we can win some money and pocket some money throughout the year. We'll use that to cook into the 12, the 15, the 17. But, just having some of the success that we had against some of these great teams, I'm proud of that. I'm proud to know that we can go in and kind of hang with them. But that's really surprised me. And I'm trying to think, I know there's 1,000 different ways to answer that question, but, one just kind of off of is just how expensive it gets. I mean, that's not one that shocks anybody. You don't realize how expensive this thing gets, but you love it so much, you find a way to do it. You're like, man, they ain't got to eat today. I can just save that. I'll just go in there and find something. We'll eat twice this week. We got to get that brisket coming. I say that jokingly, but it's an expensive hobby. But that's just to get on the ground floor. You got to have some of this stuff to even compete with these great teams out here. I see Chris Webb is on here and a Bushmaster. I mean that guy is. We got to give him a little love. I mean, he's killing it too, going coast to coast. We got teams now that we can't keep them in their own damn region. They come into our region, and we got to go up against them. So, but it's fun.
It's fun. It's fun to meet people in different areas and different people. It's fun to see them come in this area and compete and kind of see what we deal with on a week-to-week basis. Because you're right. I mean, very few of the teams we compete with on a basis on do contests to do 30, 40 contests a year. Mm-hmm. We done that one time during COVID because we were working from home, able to do different things, and we could go out there and cook a bunch of contests.
And Jason's rich, everybody. Just so you know, he's a very wealthy man. I got to bust the chops a little bit. I went back and looked at your year, by the way, and you did. I was like, good God, he was cooking every weekend.
We were.
I don't know if I would like that, though. I mean, some of these teams, did you enjoy that? Like, I like cooking every other week or once every third week. That, to me, that keeps the hunger. When you were cooking 40, 45 times, did it not get old? I'm asking because I don't
know. Doubles got old.
Okay.
Because the doubles are just, it's like you got to prep so much meat. Go there, you come home on Sunday, you turn around and get started again on for the next one. You'll start getting milk fifth week.
I like that, Brian.
Yeah, this is very true. And it was a lot of fun because we were at the time, it was COVID. So our entire crew was doing that many contests. So it wasn't like it was just me going out here in different areas to do it. We were all same guys every weekend cooking. So you started looking forward to say, okay, we can go out and hang out on Thursday night because we go on Thursday nights.
We do.
We get to hang out on Thursday night. If I get there early enough on Thursday night, we're going to hang out on Thursday nights. We're going to hang out there on Fridays. And that goes back to relaxing. And that's what we're doing this year, just chilling out and relaxing. And then Saturday do a contest, and then Saturday night hang out and come back on Sunday. So for us, it was kind of a get away from the real world and be able to go do a contest, just hang out with a bunch of friends and family and just have a good time. Friends and stuff here. It's like we went to the beach Memorial Day and we come back home yesterday and was going to go to Michelle's family. And it's like when I got on this side of Conway, all of a sudden at the beach, I was relaxed, had a good time down there. It was cold. Really weird for Memorial Day. Wow. But when I cross the Walkamo River, get home, I'm like, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. Got to do this. So it's like I got so much going on. For me, barbecue is just kind of like turn it off. And so that was the biggest thing with me is I can just go out there and turn it off and have a good time and focus on it. And I come back home, turn it back on. I might work 80 hours in 3 days, but that's just how my mind works.
No, I can see that. And see, our goals change as well. You were doing it and Carrie's doing it this year to where, you're cooking, it seems like every week. If you take a week off, you feel lost. you're gonna be at our goal this year. We would like, we're at 6 cooks. That's all we've got. I would love to finish top 25, but I know I got to get, you got to have success. You're going to have to get in there and replace. We got one bad cook we got to replace. Alabama doesn't like my food. I'm just going to have to stay away from it. Replace that. I would like to do that, but I know I've got limited cooks. So, some of these other folks that are out there cooking, they're really burning it up. I get it. I guess I'm answering my own question for me is I can see where it's exciting because now you're at cooking to replace your worst cook to move up that leaderboard. And you're right there. You're in striking distance. So it's fun. Every week you got a chance to move up that leaderboard. Man, we're just shooting to be top 25, top 30. That's it.
Well, it makes a big difference, though, because when we were doing that, we had all this other Rooster Teeth going, all this other contests. So it was 6 hours we're doing these contests. A few long distance contests, but like right now, the only contest in South Carolina is Greenwood. It's like my closest contest was hour and a half. And that was one. Every other contest I got is 4+ hours.
That's true.
So it makes a huge difference that if you've got contests that you can go to, and it's a 2-hour drive to your contest, that's a whole different ball game than driving 8 hours. When you're driving 8 hours, it makes life a lot more challenging to go to these contests a weekend. But if you can sit there and do your work, leave on a decent time on Thursday, get through with your work, leave at 8 o'clock, go there and hang out, and then be there by 9 or 10 o'clock or whatever, that's a whole different world.
Well, we're going to go on record because I always ask everybody, if I'll come to your state and cook one time, will you come to mine and cook? You've already come to Pine Bluff. And when I saw you at Pine Bluff last year, I literally was like, man, this cat got lost. He's a South Carolina guy. What in the hell is he doing here? Well, the price on that, I get it, I'm coming over to South Carolina this year to do the festival. I need to get you over here to Mississippi to do one.
Well, so I said this to Jordan here a while back. My plan is to take that little 20-foot trailer I had in Arkansas. And I don't know if we'll do it this year, but I want to kind of our goal is to do a contest in every state.
Oh,
so
nice.
That's what our goal is. And to do that, I'm going to take a little trailer I got, and I want to put it on that side of the mountains so I can drive from here to there. I can run 80 miles an hour. Pulling my fifth wheel is it's crazy. And so the answer to your question is absolutely. That's one on our list to do this year. We're just trying to figure out where it fits into the schedule.
Wow.
And because we're doing, if I do decent this weekend at Honeybee, we're going to that. Was it with Arkansas?
You're going to win. Yeah. That's a good one too. I like the way they got it set up. We're probably not going to win, and I say that because, like I said, I don't have paying sponsors. Brian only gave us $40,000 this year, and I've already cut into that. No, I've got to save up to do because we're going over the week of to South Carolina, and the wife has already started looking at lake houses, and I'm like, mighty blues. See, I told you it's cheaper to fly her in. Now she's wanting to go and get a lake and rent a pontoon boat. So hell, I may not even cook South Carolina. I may have to sell that brisket just to afford some of this stuff. So get with me on Thursday. You may get a trimmed up A9 for cheap. But we're going to go over there and do that. So I'm going to skip win more than likely. But that is a fun contest, man. A lot of room, well put on, and Jordan's going to win it. So like he does every year, it seems like.
And that's the thing about it, it's a 13, 15, 14-hour drive for me. That's a long ride. Now,
it's all taxable, man. You're fine.
Taxable.
And just
then we're going. And then the contest right after that's Maryville.
I'd love to do that.
So we're supposed to be doing Maryville after that, and then take the 4th of July off, and then do Greenwood, and then I think Wise. So I mean, we're going to do a few contests and see what happens. Yeah,
we're going to have fun. The one that now Hannah has decided she wanted to do that we've never done, and going to Sevierville for us to Gatlinburg, we make it a vacation. We're going to do it again next year. Hopefully, do it as much as we can. She wants to do Galax. And I just, we go to the Royal every year, and that's a haul for me. And we do want to kind of expand and do some stuff. I want to go up to the Illinois, the land of the can, and, maybe do some in Indiana. I say some as of one. But I do want to handle the Galax. I've heard too much about it. I've seen pictures. We did sign up for Praise the Lord this year. We got into the Murfreesboro because that's going to be the only one before the Royal. Like last year, they had Jonesboro. They're going to actually run Jonesboro this year the same weekend as the Royal, which, they didn't ask me. I think it's a horrible mistake, and I wish they would change it because I'd go to that because it's a fun one. But the only one that I'm showing in my region is Murfreesboro. So we're going to go up there and see what we can do. And I'd love to get one of those nice apples that everybody talks about and you got to have. And that is definitely, we do it for the trophies. I think trophies are something we go after. That's one that I want. And Galax is the others.
Dude, I'll chase a musical instrument. I don't play them, but I'll chase them.
Oh, absolutely. I would, I think that's, to all being the same, the money's fine, but some of these trophies you'll keep the rest of your life, and it's just prideful. And you're just like, man, I won this. And I taught, Kerry, I know Kerry's got some apples, and he loves them, and he talks about them. And I mean, I love it when my friends get those things, but I've never cooked it. So I want to go up there, and that's definitely one. So what we do is we go up a week early because I have to work during the week of the Royal. At least I'll work up until Wednesday. So if I'm going to drive that weekend, because I'm working Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I can't drive. We go up the week before. So I told my wife a couple of years ago, I'll just go into a contest the week of, cook Friday and Saturday, hook up, leave, go to my little spot that I always go to in Oak Grove, Missouri, stay there until Wednesday, and then transfer to the racetrack. So Murfreesboro seems to be right en route. And so we're cross our fingers. I'd love to have an apple sitting on the front seat or whatever the hell else they got.
We're looking at that one, but the problem with us is we got BBQ weekend after the Royal. So it's kind of like, how can you get your boss to say, okay, I'm gonna be gone for this one, then we'll do this one, then I'll come back for BBQ. And it's just like, dude, it's just a lot of just roundabout loops.
Yeah, but these are big boys, man. Think about that. So for us, we're cooking Murfreesboro. We're going over to the Royal, which is our favorite contest in the world, bar none. And we're leaving there going straight into BBQ. So, I mean, that's 3 weekends right there. I mean, I may have to file some unemployment or something. We're going to have to do something. I have no clue, but those are 3 we're looking forward to. And that's 3 in a row. And then who knows at the end of that. I mean, definitely going over to do, since Brian's on here, he'll take some of my money back that he gave me. We got to do his for sure. I've been looking forward to that. I couldn't last year. I heard a lot of great things about it. Did you go over and cook his Atlanta Barbecue Store Classic? I heard
he talked trash about you the entire time.
And and I'm okay with that. Whenever he's giving you $50,000 a year, you expect to show up.
I mean, that's what he was saying the whole time. So he can't believe this mess.
Oh, I
free entry and everything for you, right?
Oh yeah, I was going to pay my fuel on top of all the sponsorship money. I just walked away from him. I just did this, man. I ain't coming to yours. Yeah, Brian. Just glad my boss doesn't track me.
Hey, man, you got that sign behind you if you're on Rick. You trying to spice yourself up to be drawing again this year, ain't you?
Well, we got a good shot at it, but knock on wood, I just jinxed myself. But if we get picked, we get picked. If we don't, God, it sounds so cliche. If we do, we do. We don't, we don't. But it's an honor to go there. To say it's my favorite, maybe not. I will get a lot of kickback on that. God, I'm probably going to just. And the only reason I say that is because I got stuck twice, and understand that is the reason why. You take that big heavy trailer of ours, and we got backed up, and damn near tractor almost got stuck. It was just like, good God, let's get in here and cook. And then they get us out, and we get hooked up, and then we got to pull out. We get stuck again. So I was like, man, just either put us on the concrete next year or something. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We want to hear our name because that definitely helps us build our team, team recognition. And that's what we do it for. we're all doing it for respect of one another. I respect these cooks so much, and you don't even have to be a top 10 cook. I think if you're getting calls in a KCBS event, I got respect for you. And all I cook for is the respect of my fellow cook. And I genuinely mean that.
Yeah. I mean, like you said earlier, we want to show up contests and at least feel like that we're in the conversation.
No, absolutely. I've already gone my few years and not gotten calls. You're like, man, I should have just gave everybody the check, not showed up. I'd have gained money. I'd have earned it, by not coming. So it's fun hearing your name across there. It's addictive. It hasn't gotten old yet. I know it's going to run its course eventually, but right now I still get geared up and I'm excited about the weekend and I'm going to Covington this weekend. So that's going to be fun to help out that town. They've really been devastated. They lost their elementary and middle school, I believe. FEMA's been there, and they've done a great job of just trying to make sure they've had enough to make sure it's a qualifier, making sure they've got a spot for us to come into. So any way I can go in and support them, I will. Great people there, and it's the oldest competition out there. It's 50th anniversary, I think, this year.
So, by the way, there's 2 Covingtons going this weekend. He's talking about Covington, Tennessee.
Yes, sorry.
There's the other one's Covington, Virginia, is going on this weekend, and the other ones I know of going on is and it's not Lafayette.
No,
Lafayette.
I don't even know how they pronounce
Georgia.
that. You pronounce it 4 different ways in whatever part of the country you're in. But
yeah,
I was going to Honeybee because I didn't think we were going to have it, and that's another one I may cook very soon. I heard a lot of great things about it as well.
Yeah, Covington, Virginia.
Covington, Virginia. I say I didn't even look at him.
That was a good contest.
So boy Levi, I see he's popped in.
Yeah, well, Levi's in there. Speaking of which, we got to talk about your win. So okay. I know you said something about as far as you flavor profiles, you was kind of not tickled with, but when you won the contest on there, how many GCs have you gotten, if you don't mind me asking?
No, so we've cooked 63 times. We've gotten 5 GCs and we've got 4 RGCs. So, like I said, we're not at a 30% win clip like some of these teams may be at, but you got to realize the first 2.5 years that I cooked, like I said, I was on the barbecue forum. I was trying to stop and pause stuff on the pit masters to see what they were using. I was just throwing stuff out the window. I had no clue. So we took some classes. The main thing, Jason, is we just listen to people, man. We shut our mouths, listen to people, and we didn't try to act like we knew what the hell we were doing. And we started just taking some of it and applying it, and it started paying off for us. So, yeah, we've I'm not going to say we've come on and we've tore up, burned the world down with winning, but, we're there. If we can get 1 or 2 a year with as many as we cook, we're happy. And that's what we're shooting for. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to win every weekend. Statistically, I know that's not going to happen. So, I shoot for 2 a year.
Yeah, talking about it earlier.
Oh, I heard it from Levi a lot. He gave me the side eye the whole weekend. Like, man, I don't ever want to hear you talk again. But I meant every bit of it, Levi. It was the worst cook I've ever had.
By the way, everybody know Wes is really a good golfer, but he doesn't have a sandwich. So if you see him in contest, give him a sandwich.
No sandwich.
He needs a sandwich.
Oh, I heard
he needs them bad.
A good bit, man. He just looked at me, kept shaking his head like, good God. But going through that whole thing, and I know we all kind of have a similar feeling when we're running through it. But when we started getting to like third on some of these calls, I'd bet you everything I owned times 2. I was like, we're done. We're out of it. So to hear our name at some of it, now ribs, I was kind of like, yeah, we had the tenderness for ribs. I didn't like the taste so much with the tenderness, but we've been pretty consistent at the lower top 10 in chicken. Ribs, we've been doing damn well this year. Pork has been pretty good, but I didn't like my pork at all. I can tell you, I absolutely hated our pork. I didn't think the tenderness, it was tender, but how can I explain this? It kind of had a chalky chew to it, if that makes sense. And I didn't like it. However, when I ate it about 10 minutes after I turned it in, it tasted totally different. And I wasn't as mad. Brisket, I thought we'd have done better just for tenderness. But there was a wang on that, and I know that's not describing like what's a wang. I don't know. It was a unknown flavor, as the judges would say, that I couldn't get out. But Hannah just kept telling me like I don't taste it, so I've just got to start letting her be the one to tell me like, look, it's not there. I was putting that flavor in there, and so. But honestly, at the end of it, I thought Alan under the radar took it. I thought he came and lapped us like last minute. I think he won brisket. Kerry took second, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
Did.
I know he won it, but I think Kerry was second. And I thought then, I said, yeah, Alan just came over there and he beat us at the finish line. So, and I was okay with that. So to just edge him out, a great cook, another guy that's on fire, man, I was stoked. I was on cloud nine with those. Every brisket needs a wang. Yeah. Well, maybe I should start cooking to that, Brian.
Yeah, we had a good cook, but like I said, I know Alan was hot. All of ours was 5th place on. So I mean, I didn't think we were going to catch you. Alan kind of snuck up on me. I know he has a solid cook, but he had 2 really top calls. I know you can't count him out, but when I didn't hear him in the top 10, I should have just put 2 and 2 together. So,
well, let's think about this. God, somebody, I don't have the scores in front of me. Didn't he win pork and brisket, or am I wrong about that? Or no, he was second pork, first brisket, and that's when I said because we were third, he was second, and then we pulled a 10th in brisket, and he popped the first, and you can hear me on there going, we just got overtaken. So you never know on these things. I mean, you could be 10th and second and be 3 points off, or you could be 7th and 4th and be 10 points off. You just have no clue.
Oh, I'm still getting me a shirt that says I got beat by radar by 0.6.
I saw you put that out there, and I'm going to tell you, radar is, man, Alan is cooking. Wow. Is he not cooking well everywhere? He is in his zone.
Solid. He's a solid competitor.
But all you guys are. I mean, y'all are cooking. Y'all are cooking very well. And Kenny, I mean, I didn't think Kenny was going to get anything below a second at his first 2 categories. I mean, he pops the first and then the second. And I'm thinking, I don't think he'll lose the rest of the year. He may just go through the rest of the year and win this thing. So I'm glad he caught a bogey there. I think it was in pork. I'm glad he caught that bogey. No offense, Kenny. I love you, brother, but whew, I'm glad you got one of them bad judges.
We've said this jokingly and stuff here. Said somebody made a comment, said, "Why don't you just go camping every weekend? The money we spend." I said it would. I don't know if it being cheaper because all of us A personalities, we'll have to find something to compete with camping. So I mean, only way we can go hang out with everybody is because we're just doing something to stay busy. And if you know me, you know that me sitting around a lot will drive me and everybody else around me crazy. I got to be doing something. So that's kind of what we do. We come out here, have a good time, enjoying it.
I mean, who can beat that, man? I mean, again, it's I'm still waiting for my warrant to show up, and I'll let you talk about that if you want to. But if you guys don't know out there, Instacart delivers alcohol. So,
So let me tell this story because nobody's understand this. So we're out here enjoying the festivities at in Sevierville, Tennessee, having a good time. And I open up the cooler and I'm like, this ain't gonna last me very long. Bottle I had. So I'm sitting there going like, I said, I'm gonna start getting right now. I said, well, where am I gonna go find me a where's the nearest abbreviation store? So a liquor store. So yeah, find there ain't nothing in Sevierville, it's Dry County, unless it's selling moonshine.
That's it.
And I'm not doing moonshine again. We're not doing that on that level. So I'm saying, crap. Wes says Instacart. I gotta be kidding me. He's like, no, Instacart delivered anything. So I got on Instacart and started finding out that I could order this stuff in Instacart because they're delivering it from Knoxville.
Kid in a candy store, guys. Eyes lit up. He's just hitting buttons.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And so we ordered the stuff we ordered for the Instacart from the liquor store. And the lady drove an hour from the other side of Knoxville, delivered us to a parking lot in Sevierville, and didn't charge delivery fee through Instacart.
Yeah.
This is not sponsored by
$3.
This is huh? I tipped her. I
Jason,
tipped
I'm
more than
messing
$3.
with you.
I did tip her, but I'm like, and I'm not sponsored by Instacart, but if they want to come on board, we'll be happy to be sponsored by them in the future.
Absolutely.
But they done it, and this funny part about it was Wes had just come back from eating, and I'm over yonder trying to flag a lady down and get my stuff because they're delivering the liquor to us in the parking lot in Sevierville, and I don't have my driver license, so Wes had to sign for it.
Yeah.
So it's all
So,
Wes's fault.
but the thing is that I didn't just have to sign for it. I had to give them my license. They had to scan my license. They had to punch some stuff in my license. And I think I saw her take a picture with her phone of my license. So I'm sure I'll get some credit report dings on that. And then I had to sign off. He's already halfway back to his trailer opening a bottle in a parking lot. And yeah, so I told him, I said, that's what I'm here for. I got you.
Dude, I'm not kidding you. That was the craziest thing in the world. I never would have believed that.
Well, I got to give Hannah the due. She's the one that taught me. And we had actually used that. See, we go stay at the Margaritaville RV Resort the week before. And we were sitting there and, we were getting low on some feel-good juice. And that's what happened. Hannah was like, I don't want to get dressed. We were in the lazy river. And she was like, we need some more.
Whoa. Did they deliver liquor to you in the lazy river?
Well, close.
Oh.
We just had to get out to get it. But they did. And here's the funny thing is there is a liquor store in Gatlinburg. People don't know this. Gatlinburg is wet. Sevierville and Pigeon Forge is dry. And Knoxville is wet. So instead of getting one of the Instacart drivers to come from Gatlinburg down the road, they drove it in from Knoxville.
Yeah. And
delivered it to the lazy river. To it. We got out, we signed whatever, and it was fun after that. We'll let the security cameras tell the rest, but it was a good time. So we learned that, and I'm glad we got to pass that on to the barbecue family. So everybody, just sit where you're at, and he'll tell you it's not like it's really expensive either. You pick what you want, hit the stuff, they'll bring it to you.
Same price I buy at the store, same exact price.
Yeah.
Now I do think that there is, to clarify everything, I think it's like the first 3 orders is a no shipping fee. Somebody was telling me that after you do like 3 orders, then they start doing it. But create a new account.
Well, you're going to say, I've got 17 emails. I'll never run out. I will never run out.
It's the craziest thing in the world. But Lazy River trumps mine. I thought my story was good.
Were you back there, buddy?
I'm here. You've kind of went and froze up on me a little bit. Yeah. Y'all, appreciate y'all being on here tonight.
Maybe
Brian, Wes, you want to give a shout out to your sponsor, Brian? You want to shout out to your sponsor, Brian?
All right, here we go.
I think Wes is having some audio stuff here. Appreciate y'all coming by tonight for the show. Again, like and subscribe to this on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Share it with your friends and family. And if you want to listen to the show after the case, go to YouTube Music Barbecue Roundtable. We got some great sponsors doing this a while. We appreciate it. Wes, you back?
I'm here, buddy.
I got you. You want to give a shout out to your sponsors?
Absolutely. So, guys, Memorial Day just went by, but still don't forget Royal Oak Charcoal, best charcoal on the planet. This stuff is made in America. And definitely my guy, Brian Jarvis, Ellen Jarvis with the Atlanta Barbecue Store, who does as much for barbecue than those guys out there. Get great service, got all the supplies you need, sponsor their team, $70,000 a sponsored team. Guys, get on here, sign up here. If you're not in there, dude, right. Just unbelievable.
Brian, I didn't have nothing to do with this. You have to talk with your sponsor team here for that. That wasn't me.
Thank you for having me on, Jason. I appreciate what you do as well. Great show. I've always enjoyed it. So, and thank what you do, man. You keep this going. Brian's Monday. You come in on Tuesdays. It's perfect.
I appreciate that. Give a shout out to our sponsors. We got some great sponsors. Royal Oak Charcoal. Honestly, y'all, if you have not checked out Royal Oak Charcoal pellets, you need to check them out. When it's wet and humid outside, they still cook perfectly. You leave them in your smokers, you got nothing to worry about. Check out the Royal Oak pellets for that. And also that new supersized chunks briquettes they got, they're a game changer. They run awesome, and I love them to death. We got Recteq on board. Great sponsors on there. And we also got Heath Riles. If you want to get anything with barbecue superstores, Atlanta Barbecue Stores got your stuff here. Excuse me, Atlanta Barbecue Store got your stuff. Also, you can go to Heath Riles and get the information. All that's in the description down below for all those links in there. And again, we got briskets. Brisket got a sale going on right now from Snake River Farms. There's a link down below. If you want to get anything from Snake River Farms, go down below. You got a good discount there for Father's Day gift, or you get some briskets in there. And I appreciate anybody wanting to use that stuff. All that being stated, appreciate y'all watching tonight. See you next week.
Have a good one.